fellow snows, hoes, ugly blokes, and millennial jokes, and welcome to the Bastards of Gaming podcast, episode number 6. I'm your host with the most, Zizer, joined by my co-host, the maple syrup to my French toast, and founding member of the Amigos, Cinther.
It's tax time. Have you done your taxes yet?
Yeah, I've been done with that, son.
Oh, really? I haven't started mine yet. You going to get anything in return?
Well, yeah, I jumped on them real quick, got my tax return, and then it was gone in a day because I had to pay off credit cards and stuff. So, yeah, I didn't even get to enjoy it whatsoever, unfortunately.
So you didn't have enough money left over to run out and buy, I don't know, upgrade your PC or some shit?
Well, that's what I would have loved to do. I would have loved to grab that 2080 Ti and thrown it in my rig, but yeah, unfortunately, I've spent a lot of money over the last couple of years, and I'm sort of paying for it right now. So I'm having to repay credit cards and stuff like that. So there's going to be no fun little gadgets and doo-wops for my computer and gaming setup this year, unfortunately, unless things change.
I haven't had a positive tax return since I was like a teenager. I'm constantly paying.
Well, how do they work up in Canada? I don't even know how the taxes work up there.
So your employer is basically supposed to take enough taxes by the end of the year, right? So sometimes they don't. I don't know how it really works, but I usually just get screwed over because apparently my jobs never take enough money at the end of the year, so I'm stuck paying like $900 or some shit. Yeah,
well, I guess it. But you have like some kind of corporate gig, right? So they should take out the correct amount. But like I said, I don't know how it works up there. I just know I usually get something back every year as long as I'm working your typical W-2 job. So I don't know.
I think it's also because like I'm married and I'm claiming my wife as well. So maybe the joint thing is a bad idea. Maybe we should have just pretended we're still single and we could have came out on top. I have no idea.
Well, see, down here, that nets you more money. If you have like a child, you can claim them as a dependent. And if you're like head of household, that'll get you more and stuff like that. So
I'm not getting anything.
Opposite. Yeah, well, that's Canada for you. They don't know how to do shit. All right. And then joining us this week, we got a special guest for you guys. You've heard about him. He's been talked about. He's the myth, the legend, Magnum.
Oh, shit. What is up, people? How are you today?
Oh, yeah, son. So, Magnum, longtime friend. He's part of what we call the Amigos, which is this little trio that you have in store for you on the podcast today. That it consists of me, Magnum, and Cinther. We've been gaming together forever. We are the Amigos, which is a subset of the Bastards. We all came from TMA. So we're happy to have Magnum on today. We've been wanting to have him on for a while, but everything just kind of fell into place today. We weren't planning to have him on the show this week, maybe next week, but everything fell into place for him to come on today. So we are more than excited to have you on, brother.
Yeah, thanks, bro. I appreciate you guys having me on, man. It's been a long time. I know a lot of people do know me through TMA or being on Xbox Live playing games with you guys. You know, appreciate all my friendships. I want to thank y'all.
We had to pull him off Destiny to fucking come on here.
Yeah, I know, right? Man. You know how hard that needle was to pull out my arm? Come on, guys.
Yeah, we're literally about to start the show, and he's in a fucking Crucible match doing some goddamn Iron Banner shit. And I'm like, get the fuck off the game, Jesus Christ.
Like, he got a time and everything to be here, and you're like, oh, one last match.
No, I'm sorry. I got to swing on that sweaty ball sack. I just can't help it.
Yeah, and he's sitting there just fucking bitching up a storm, of course, because, you know, it's a fucking multiplayer Crucible match. And he's sitting there bitching up a storm. I'm like, get off.
Yeah, I suck at Crucible. I'm not very good.
All right, so for our topic of the week this week, we're going to be talking about how have your gaming habits changed as you've gotten older. And then after that, in the what the fuck we're playing this week, we're going to be talking about The Division, the game that everyone's playing, the hottest thing out right now. And then after that, we'll move into our normal Q&A section. But just to get everyone up to speed up front here, if you don't already know, if you're not already listening, you can check us out, the Bastards of Gaming podcast on all platforms of your choice, whether it's iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Music, and tons more. Just search for Bastards of Gaming. And if we're not on the platform of your choice, let us know, and we'll make that happen for you.
Are you part of the Bastards community? No? Well, join the fucking conversation and engage with us by liking our Facebook page at facebook.com/bastardsofgaming. Each week we share your thoughts and feedback on our show. Subscribe to us on YouTube and rewatch clips from past episodes. Simply search for Bastards of Gaming. Lastly, we would love if you could leave us some honest reviews on our Facebook ratings page or in the podcast platform you use to listen to us, such as iTunes. Those reviews will go a long way in helping us build this podcast and community.
All right. So the topic of the week this week is how have your gaming habits changed as you've gotten older? And I'll let you kick this one off, Cynthia.
Okay, so I've been gaming for about 31 years. I'm 35 years old. And unfortunately, I got married. Unfortunately, I have a child. I say unfortunately, but in reality, I wanted to get married. I wanted a kid, so I love being a parent and a husband. But because of that, I have lost almost all autonomy, and I can't play like I used to. I can't spend 6 hours in the evening after school or after work or whatever just gaming with you guys or playing a single player game. So the first thing that absolutely changed as I got older was the time of day and the length I can play for. And
yeah, I mean, that's pretty much changed for everyone, I think, at this point. That's just kind of growing up and being an adult. I mean, I don't, unfortunately, I would say in my case, I don't have a wife or a kid. I don't really want kids. But, so I don't have to deal with that, but we all have to work and, you know, take care of adult stuff. So yeah, we've all had to kind of shift our schedules and stuff like that. So what about you, Magnum?
Yeah, that I can definitely agree with Cynthia on that point as far as like, you know, before my children came along, you know, I had all sorts of time to be able to play. Fortunately for me, my wife understands it's my hobby. It's what I like to do to pass my time, you know, playing with my friends and playing great games. A lot of times what she would do is, she would watch me play Resident Evil 1 and she would help me figure out puzzles, or she liked watching me do things on the video games because she found it interesting, whether it be the gameplay, the story, or what have you. She liked watching me play, I think it was the first Darksiders. She loved watching me play Legacy of Kain series. She thought that was a really great story.
Well, you're one of the lucky ones that has a significant other that plays games and doesn't mind you doing that. So I have a unicorn. Sorry. Yeah, your wife plays games with us sometimes too. So right. That definitely cuts out what a lot of my friends and people I know struggle with, which is their spouse or significant other. You know, kind of always trying to pull them away from a game and stuff like that.
Yeah, I know a few people that are the same way. It's a delicate balance, you know, because you do have to try to manage your life outside of doing what you love doing what you love, which is playing video games. But, you know, you got real life stuff that goes on. Like today, I probably wouldn't have been on myself. I probably would have been on work if there wasn't a special case for me needing to be off. But, but once I had my first son, you know, I don't really believe my gaming habits changed too much, because he was still very young and he was easy to manage. But then when he started like walking around and talking and, you know, and interacting with him, you know, that's when my gaming started going down because I got to pay attention to my son. You know, I gotta play with him and do that kind of thing. But then what I would do is I put him up on some 2-player games with me, some fun things to do on the 360 or the PlayStation, I believe it was. Either way, we would play, you know, games and we would have fun doing so. So that aspect of my gaming habits changed too, because, you know, I'm not going to sit here and play Resident Evil 1 with, you know, my 5 or 6, 7-year-old son, you know?
Yeah. Well, you're also lucky in that your entire family basically plays games. So I came up there. Me and Magnum have been friends for a long time, 15, 16 years or so. I actually went up there, finally met him for the first time last year, and stayed at his house for about 3 or 4 days. And basically all we did was just play games with his entire family. It was an absolute blast. So you kind of lucked out in that. I don't know if you would call that a positive influence or not, but you've definitely turned everyone in your immediate family into gamers, and so I guess that kind of works out in your favor.
In that respect, it does. There are some drawbacks, but anyway, as far as like the drawbacks go, it's like saying, oh, well, do you guys even do things together and stuff like that? Believe it or not, we do. I mean, we've raided together. We've, done strikes together, Nightfalls. That's as far as Destiny 2 goes. Earlier games, we play Gears. I mean, it's kind of odd because, you think back to when we were kids and we didn't really have, this online thing or even the damn internet, and we'd get taken away in cars and we'd drive hours to go somewhere and you'd be bored off your ass, interacting as a family. But, that was a different aspect back then. Whereas now, we could all be in the same house and we could go to different destinations on other planets or galaxies or some other stuff like that. And I think my kids, once they realized that when they were really young, I guess it's not a vacation, but I don't know. Maybe it's just a twisted way of looking at it.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's an interesting way of looking at that. I never really thought about it that way.
Like, you're all spending time together, so it's just different. You know what I mean? Like, it's not face to face exactly. You're in the same room or maybe in a room over, but you guys are still spending time with each other doing something. You know what I mean? It's still an activity. So it's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, it's definitely unique. I don't ever really expect a whole lot of people to understand it, but yeah, I mean, I'm lucky in that regard. I mean, we still like bullshit and sit around and have, pizza and sometimes dinner with each other and stuff. But, it's not like back, how when we were younger, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, you're probably at the forefront of the generation that was growing up with video games, right? So like my parents didn't really play games. My dad did once in a while, but he wasn't a gamer, right? So I think you're in a position to be like in that generation where you can have kids and you're also like a gamer. Like, I'm going to be a gamer. My kids are hopefully going to play games to some extent too. So it's starting. I think it's starting now.
Yeah, and that's the odd thing about like what you said too, because we're sort of like stuck in the middle because my parents, they aren't even really interested in all that much. My stepfather played with me. We used to play the Nintendo, and he would play Ice Climber with me or Mario. Super Mario Brothers or whatever, and he liked it. He thought it was really cool, and this is from a man who never touched video games before. He only did it because he liked spending time with me. So it's sort of the same thing with my kids. But the other aspect of that is that I grew up in the era of coin-op. And my gaming habits from that era, going from, plunking down money, spending all my savings sitting in the mall all damn day, to then finally spending a one-time block of money to sit home in front of my TV kind of irked my mom anyway, because now I was always home playing video games. She had to kick my ass out.
Well, that's commonplace today now.
Well, yeah, this is true.
You're a trendsetter.
Yeah, I guess I was.
So one thing I want to say is you guys are like the first family of video games. Because when we're playing stuff, it's just funny to have you playing with us, and then you can hear one of your kids in the background, and you'll just push your mic away and just yell at them or something,
Yeah, I try to mute my mic so you guys don't hear me saying shit, but yeah, it's definitely different. Or like when we're in a party, like say if we're playing like Division, if I was to have like say either my wife or my older son get it or my younger one get it, and I can mute my mic and walk over, and I can walk over to them like I've done in Destiny when we're doing a raid with the wife. I could tell her, be like, no, I'll mute my mic and walk into the next room, be like, no, you got to be like doing this, you got to and try this and put that on to help out.
So you basically go in the next room and slap your wife's face with your dick. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, right.
So continuing on this train of thought in a way is that I think we all have less time to play with our friends and stuff like that, and that kind of influences the games that we play also. Because I mean, I know when it comes up to a big sort of multiplayer or co-op game release, I'm usually like checking to see who's going to buy it, and like even Magnum kind of bought the Division last minute. I was always planning on buying it, And then, but still, I was like checking, like, hey, Cynthia, are you going to get this? Who's going to get this game? And then, so that kind of influences what games we play, because if no one else had picked up the Division 2, I don't think I would have picked it up. And so that kind of plays into the games that we play. Is just like, can my schedule align with yours? Can we get, is it worthwhile to pick up a $60 game? If can we at least have a night or two a week where we can all jump in and enjoy it? So that kind of influences some of the games we play. What do you think, Cynthia?
Yeah, so 100%. Like, I don't buy games day one unless it's a game that I've really been looking forward to, or if it has a multiplayer aspect that we're all going to get behind and play together. Because realistically, the time that I have to play games, it's either I play whenever I can, so that's a single player game, or if we're going to try and do something once or twice a week, I want it to be a game, obviously, that we're all going to get behind, or as many of us can get behind to play. And Division 2 recently has been that latest game, and Red Dead was that for a while until it just fizzled out because there's no content. But for sure, multiplayer games, if we're all behind it, I'll get on that, and I'll schedule time and tell my wife ahead of time, like, okay, I would like to have Tuesday, Wednesday off, or one of those nights off, and you can have Monday, Thursday, Friday off, or whatever, and I'll watch my daughter, or we'll just go do something else. So it's not hard to schedule that, but it does take a bit more planning. It's not like I'm going to work today, I'm just coming home, I'll eat quick, and then bam, we're going to be playing games forever.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, like I said, I definitely plan some of my purchases and certain games around, whether I can play with you guys or certain other friend groups. And I usually like to have a single player game kind of going on in the background, like last night, when no one's on for the Division, I'm still playing through Devil May Cry 5. So I usually have some kind of single player game or two that I'm messing around with while I sort of in the off hours, as it were, between our multiplayer sessions.
And Magnum only plays Destiny, right?
Yeah.
Well, you see, my purchases are definitely dependent on whether or not you guys are playing. Division 2 is definitely on the forefront of me wanting to buy the game, because, my brother said he was going to get it too, but I thought he'd be more interested in Anthem. But once he got that, and then you guys got that, and then 2 other friends got that, I was like, well, it looks like that I'm going to have to get this, because...
Yeah, but most of the time you're playing Destiny because you have an addiction, which we may address on this podcast at some point. We may have a little intervention.
You can try.
Yeah, well, me and Magnum have played hundreds of hours of Destiny together, but I'm just kind of burned out on it at this point. But another thing for me, as far as my gaming habits change, is because I have less time, I play less sort of multiplayer focus, like PvP stuff. I play co-op games, like multiplayer co-op games with you guys and stuff. But for the most part, I play less and less sort of competitive multiplayer games because I just don't have the time to keep up with, the youngins that are in their late teens, early 20s and sit around like I did at that age and basically, get fucking beast mode in all these multiplayer games like Halo or whatever it is you like to play. So I typically sort of stray away from those experiences now, even though I like multiplayer games. Like I bought Battlefield 5 and I've yet to get on it, and it's so after the fact now. It's been out for a while. I fear that if I get on it, I'm just going to get completely dominated because I can't keep up with the skill level that you would need to compete in a lot of these games. So what do you think about that, Cynthia?
So for me, competitive games, I've never been a huge competitive guy, so I'll play them if it's with you guys or if it's with a couple other friends. I just don't like the aggressive nature of it, and I don't like what it does to me, like psychologically. Like I get really aggressive too. I get into it. I get annoyed. I get mad, and I'm not that type of person. I'm not overly aggressive, and I don't want to be toxic, and I don't like those environments either because it's so counterproductive. It's useless. I want to enjoy my game. I don't want to be a hothead and get all upset. But with that said, like there has been a couple games like Heroes of the Storm where you can play it competitively on a lesser scale, but you don't have to worry about too much toxic behavior because you can either mute people or the barrier to entry is a bit lower. So people are generally okay at the game. Or there's, or there's like a matchmaking system that puts you with people who are in your relative skill range. So you do have pretty balanced games. But for sure, I've never been a competitive guy, so it's hard to say if that's changed over time. I think I have less tolerance for that shit now, for sure.
I'm the type where like I just had to let a lot of that stuff go. Like my biggest hang up still to this day a lot of times is Halo. Like I used to be pretty good at Halo back in the day, and I used to take it super serious. And I've just had to learn with that and other games that like I just can't. I know I'm not going to be as good as some of these people that play all the time, and so I just have to, just realize that like, hey, I'm just here to have fun at this point, and I'm not going to be able to compete on the highest levels. I'm not going to get the most kills in every match, and I just kind of have to let it go. Like I don't get angry at games. I did go through a spell where I would get very upset and angry at games like probably 10, 12 years ago, and after broken controllers and one time a broken TV. I realized that like it's time to change and I can't be that way anymore. And so now I just basically play games in a very calm and soothing manner. I'm just there to have fun. I'm just there to hang out with my friends. And even if it's competitive or it's just something casual like a co-op game, I just don't, that the temper is long gone. It's just not worth it anymore.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And then in that respect is where I think I made as far as like my personal life goes, I was Gears of War. I love playing Gears of War 1, Gears of War 2, and I would be loving to play competitively. I always got on when I was playing, and man, it was some nights where I was taking my problems that was going on, I'd be getting freaking shit faced, dude, and I can't even barely hold my controller, and I'm dying left and right, and I'm getting angry as shit. And it's just it's a toxic thing. I couldn't keep on doing that. And the bad part is that, some of it, just kind of went to my kids because they see me doing that. And then it's like, oh, well, I can do that too. And now here it is. I got to tell them, hey, shut the fuck up. So it's counterproductive. It really is. And now, like you said, be like you were saying, you had to get me off of Destiny because I was playing a Crucible match, and I suck at Crucible. I know I suck at Crucible. And before, if you took me back 10 years ago and what was going on in that match today, before I got off, I'd be losing my shit. But I was just like, come on, man, really? Whatever.
Well, you were still bitching a little bit, but way toned down.
Yeah, but it is toned. It's a lot more toned down. I used to go full on fucking rage machine. It was kind of dumb, to be honest with you, looking back at it. I apologize to all of you for listening to me through that bullshit when you're all playing with me, who knew me during that time during Gears of War. I apologize.
No, one of the defining characteristics of you that I always think about is when we're playing stuff, and it happened as recently as the last time we were playing Division, is you sometimes will just like run ahead and not pay attention, and we're like, Magnum, what are you doing? And you're just out there, and you'll get killed. You'll get put down on the ground. You'll be like, what the fuck? What the fuck? What? How did that happen? And you're yelling and screaming, and we're all like 100 feet back, and we just see like your dead body on the ground, like crawling toward us, and we're like, what do you think's gonna happen? Like, why do you run so far ahead and then get mad about it?
If you're talking about Division, that doesn't help that you guys are like 10 levels above me and I'm still a noob.
Then why are you running in front of us?
But there was times where I was exploring and somebody just comes up to me and they're like, oh, boom, one hit. Okay, cool, great. Thanks, fuck.
Yeah, basically what we've learned with playing games with Magnum over the years is he would be like the worst teammate. Like if shit ever went down in real life, there's a zombie apocalypse, you don't want this motherfucker on your team. He's gonna be the first one to go.
Yeah, he'd be out there. He'd be out there with butter knives.
Yes.
He's fucking Leroy Jenkins. He's out there like Leroy, and he's down. He didn't even get to do anything yet.
Leroy Jenkins.
All right, so what's something else you can add to the topic, Cynthia? What's something else you got on your list for this?
So this kind of goes back to something I alluded to a little bit earlier in the conversation, but I usually have at least 2 games, maybe 3 games on the go. So I'll have one like long ass game that's going to take like a month or 2 or whatever to get through. And that's the game that I'm usually playing when I'm not like doing multiplayer, or if I just have like a day to just do nothing. Or like my wife goes out and she takes my daughter and I'll just have like 4 hours to myself. This is that game that I'll play. So it's like RPGs, open world games, even Division. Division kind of fits into that like multiplayer and kind of you could play solo and it's an open world type game. So like something like that. And then I'll have something for like smaller play sessions, or if I just don't feel like getting into something too deep. So it'll be like a racing game where you can jump in, do a couple races, or like a smaller indie title, or like a card game, or just something to just kind of like cleanse my palate, as it were, so that I'll go back into that main primary game that I'm playing and actually enjoy it again. Cause I don't know, maybe you guys have this too, but sometimes you'll be playing a game so much, you put like 40, 50, 60, 3,000 hours, whatever into it, and you're like, oh my God, I love this game, but like, I need to play something else right now. So you need to kind of, well, obviously not, but I sometimes need something to kind of just cleanse the palate, as it were, to just refresh it. And then I'll go back and play that game again.
Yeah. So you said you have games on the go. Do you like carry handhelds with you, or like phone games, or what?
Well, I have like one or two mobile games that I'll play, like if I'm in my car waiting or whatever. I don't really like take those seriously. Those are just like 15-minute time wasters whenever it needs to happen. But I do have my Vita, and I'll play like old PS1 RPGs or just whatever I have. So for that, like if I'm on vacation, then I'll take that with me, and I'll have a game specifically for the vacation. Like I'll have it ready to go. Like it's already planned out.
Yeah, like I have a Vita and I have a Switch, but like they get so little use because I buy them because they're cool little devices, and then I just never really have a use for them because I don't know it. And my job, most of the time, obviously I'm working, I'm doing other things, and if I'm not working, I'm at home, so I'm playing my console or PC games. So I wish I could take more advantage of my portable stuff, but yeah, this doesn't really factor into my life as much. I just didn't know if you utilize that more than I would.
Like sometimes I'll play it when I go to bed. It just depends. Like I'm definitely a console gamer. I definitely want to be in front of the TV holding a controller, and it's just more convenient and it feels better. But like if I am on vacation, or if I'm going somewhere like overnight, like if I have a work event the next day and I'm staying in a hotel, like I'll take that with me because I'd rather play a game than watch TV or just try and find something, so that's better.
Yeah, I agree with that. I got a little mobile game on my phone that's pretty it's a little bit of fun. It doesn't require a whole lot of skill. It's called Bubble Smile.
It's called what?
Bubble Smile.
Okay, what do you do?
You just pop bubbles, different colored bubbles, and then you gain points for combo.
So it's just Bubble Bobble. It's Bubble Bobble.
It's like a cross between like Tetris, Dr. Mario.
So is it just like a bunch of bubbles like coming down and you're shooting them up and you can bounce them off the wall and stuff?
No, what it is, it's a drop down like a Tetris kind of gig, and when it drops down, what you do is you make a combination of 3 different colored bubbles, and there's different colors. There's blue, red, yellow, green.
Okay, we know the
brown.
concept of this, yeah.
Okay, purple. So what you do is you turn the bubbles in a certain direction, either clockwise or counterclockwise, to make a row of 3. And once you pop those 3, they drop down. And if there's other ones, if you can combo them, it'll just keep, breaking the bubbles, and you score more points.
Okay, so
you can look it up on the apps.
Yeah, it's kind of like Bejeweled, but more like, I think it's a game called Hexic. There's a game called Hexic where you twist it. It's not just moving them left and right, up and down. It's like you turn.
Yeah, it's similar.
I'm just picturing Magnum standing in line at like a Wendy's on his phone playing this fucking bubble game and just fucking screaming like, "I've got 3 red bubbles! God damn it!"
No, this game is if you get mad at this game, man, you got problems, bro. You got problems.
I'm just having trouble picturing you just on your phone playing a little bubble game.
It's called Bubble Smile. How could you get upset at Bubble Smile, man?
All right. Anyways, let's move on here. But another thing that's changed in my gaming habits over time is actually the difficulty of games. So I used to play games. I used to be a try-hard guy that wanted to play every game on the hardest difficulty. Always wanted the best, biggest challenge. But now, as I've sort of gotten older and I have less time to play games, I usually just kind of want to breeze through something and experience it. So I usually just play on default, like normal settings most of the time. And I don't even really gravitate toward like super difficult games for the most part. I mean, I still play stuff like a shooter, like a co-op shooter. You know, if I'm playing with friends, I like to bump up the difficulty sometimes. But for the most part, yeah, I just kind of play games a lot more casually than I used to. I used to be super hardcore about something or play it on the hardest difficulty, but now I'm more just like, I just want to have fun. I'm just here to relax and enjoy myself after a long, hard day at work. So I kind of just keep it on normal. What about you guys?
Filthy casual.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I don't really set anything on a real hard difficulty anymore either. I kind of don't have the patience for that shit no more. Last game I think I did it with was, what was that? Star Wars game.
Battlefront?
Second one. No.
No, The Force Unleashed.
Force Unleashed 2, yeah. I put that on the hardest difficulty and tried to beat that. And one of the bosses, his name's Caston Paratus. He was the cheapest motherfucker in the world. I couldn't believe I even passed that shit, to be honest with you. So no, I don't set, if there's a difficulty setting on a story mode, I don't put it on hard no more. It's just annoying.
Yeah, what about you, Cynthia?
See, that's interesting because I'm kind of the opposite. I'll play on normal if a game is long. So if it's longer than like 8 to 12 hours, I'll play it on normal because I just want to get through it. And if there's like another game that's going to be coming out like a following week or soon, I just want to get through that game. So I just want the regular experience and get through it. But like I've said in the past, like I'll play like a game like Guacamelee and I'll play those games on the hardest difficulty. I don't know why, because I don't like I've said before too, I don't like Dark Souls type games that are really punishing, but I do like being challenged. I do like overcoming those challenges. It's just, there's a lot of gratification and I like pushing myself to get it.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like, I still enjoy like difficult games, but it's just more that like, there's so many games to play now and there's so much to experience and try to get to that like, I'm usually just like, I can't be wasting time, dying or, grinding my way through something. I just want to breeze through it so I can get to the next game coming out or something that's in my backlog or whatever.
I'll do research. I'll find out what people are saying about it. Like if the game is like ridiculously hard and it's just like people are bullet sponges or whatever, that doesn't add anything for me. That's not challenging. It's just bullshit. I like the challenge of like, okay, when I get hit, it might take a little bit more health off or I'll get less from healing or something like that. Like I like that gameplay where you're kind of on the brink of dying because it's just so exhilarating sometimes to just be on the edge of your seat and instead of like, here's all the money in the world, buy all the equipment. Here's 1 million health packs so you can always heal yourself. That's not fun. It's almost like cheating. You know what I mean? I like the starvation aspect of some games where it's just tough, but it's fair. And you can overcome it if you just figure it out.
The dark side. I was going to say like Darksiders and Darksiders 2, what you're talking about there, the balance between being hard and satisfying is that for me personally, that was a great game for that. That was hard.
Yeah, they were good. I thought they were good. I thought they were fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so another thing that sort of changed in my gaming habits too is I think this is more just kind of a sign of the times in a way, but it's also me trying to sort of multitask and consume as much media and entertainment in the short amount of time that I have. And so what I like now, what I look for in a lot of games, a lot of times is what I don't know, people call them podcast games or some people call them multitask games or second screen games. People have their own sort of personal terminology for it. But I like to have a game where I can like kind of play it and I can be totally engaged with it. But I also want to be able to like watch a TV show or listen to a podcast or consume some YouTube content or whatever. So I like having something like The Division 2 is a perfect example. And Destiny used to be this for me too, where I can play it and I'm grinding out stuff. I'm doing my dailies. I'm just going through the motions in a lot of ways if it's a game that I'm not super invested in the story. And then off to the side on my computer or on another screen, I got, a TV show going or something else going, or maybe there's a new album that dropped from one of my favorite bands. So I'm listening to that while I'm playing the game. So I can kind of do both at the same time. I don't know if you guys do that stuff, but that's something that like, it's become a bad habit for me where a lot of times now, unless it's a game that I'm totally engaged with the story and I'm in it for the narrative and I need to focus all my attention on it, I will gravitate toward these games where I can just kind of play them a little bit more casually, but still be super invested in it while also consuming some other type of entertainment. I don't know if you guys do that.
No, I've never been able to do that. I don't. Any games that I play, I can't have any like outside distractions, doing like music or whatever else. It's always been I'm there, I'm on the game, I'm in it, and I'm doing. I've just never been able to do that.
Yeah. What about you, Cynthia?
Racing games for sure. And I've had other games like Diablo series, Diablo 3. You know, like it's just games where you don't need to listen to dialogue. You don't need to pay attention to sounds. So definitely action RPGs are up there. Anything that's grindy. So I do play a shit ton of RPGs. So if there's a really grindy RPG, I might actually save a time or put time aside to be like, okay, I'm going to watch some shows and just have random encounter after random encounter and just level up a bit, you know, like I save stuff for that. So I'll plan it. But yeah, I don't look for those games. I usually just might have one around and then I'll just work around it. But I don't know. I usually try and be invested in the games that I'm playing. Otherwise it's like, why am I playing this game? I want to actually enjoy it.
Yeah, it's just a way for me to like I said, consume multiple entertainment things at one time. Because like I said, if I'm playing like, you know, the new God of War or something like that, I mean, I'm totally in it. I got the sound cranked up. I'm just in it. But if I'm playing something more, you know, grindy or one of these games as a service games, like when I was playing Anthem, I was doing the same thing. I was just basically had the volume down enough to hear what's going on and pick up on the sound cues and stuff that I need. And then on my computer to the side, I'm listening to podcasts, I'm watching Joe Rogan, or I'm doing whatever. So I don't know. I just enjoy that because I can kind of just have two different experiences at the same time. But it just depends. But that's just something that's sort of changed in my gaming habits.
I do that. I did that with Crackdown 3, actually. I was watching like a wrestling pay-per-view while I was like pounding through that shit game.
Yeah, I can't multitask like that. I don't know, man. I just never could do it.
Yeah, so another thing that's probably changed, I think, in all of our gaming habits is that, you know, as it's kind of a give and take where now we're all older and we have more money to spend on games, but we have less time to play them. So it's kind of different now where back in the day when we were young or whatever, you would rent a game or you buy a game and that's the game you had for a little while. So you would really get invested in this one thing. But now we can almost buy whatever we want. So that's I think that has some bearing on our gaming habits. What do you guys think?
Absolutely, because like I actually wrote this down too, but like since I have the money, I can just go out and get the games that I want. Or if I'm getting bored of a game, I start having like a wandering eye, as it were, and I'm looking at other games to kind of like jump onto because I want that honeymoon phase again. Because let's face it, like there's nothing better than starting a brand new game you've been looking forward to or excited about, or opening like a console box for the first time to like turn to turn the system on for the first time. Like it's so much fun. It's that like Christmas morning giddiness, you know what I mean? Like, holy shit, we're playing a new game. So for sure, money's great in the sense that we can buy whatever we want, but at the same time, I feel like I have too much because I basically have all the consoles. I play every game that I want to play. I don't know. I don't know if I appreciate things less because I have so many choices and I could just jump around. And it's not like I don't finish the games that I buy, but I don't know. Like when we were kids, we got what we got with whatever money we got from birthdays or if we got a gift. But now it's like, here's this game. I have 3 hours left in it. Let's burn through it because there's a game right behind it that I bought on the same day that I want to get to too. And then next week, another game's coming out. And next month, a huge game's coming out. We're all going to play. So it's like a to-do list sometimes. It's almost like an Ubisoft game with all these fucking collectibles and shit.
Yeah, you're talking about the honeymoon phase of games, and this has been my life this year. Is I've just been picking up game after game. I don't think I've actually beat anything this year. I've just every week I'm just picking up a new thing. I'm renting it from Redbox, and I'm just kind of just having this like little fun moment or this fun, 8 to 10 hours with a game. And then if I want to play more of it, I do. But, I've just kind of been bouncing around this year. And yeah, it's just kind of that thing where there's just too many games and it's just so easy to access them. And if I really want something, I can just download it instantly on my, because every game is digital now. You can just download it. If you want something, you see it in the store, it's just there. It's instant gratification. Or, I can just run up to the Red Box, or there's a GameStop 5 minutes from my house. If there's anything I want, I can just go have it. And so it does kind of lead to this case where it's almost like too many choices. You almost have paralysis at a certain point, and you don't know what to play. And you're just kind of like, I don't know. And so sometimes I just get in like, I'm in the mood for this kind of experience today, so I'll just load up this game or I'll load up that game. And so, yeah, it's definitely something that changed from the past. And plus, I think back in the day, even 10, 15 years ago, I mean, there was a lot of games out, but I don't remember just having so many that I wanted to play. And even if I would have had more money back then, I don't think I would have been playing as much as I do now. There's just so many great games, and yeah, having instant access to all this stuff is just kind of crazy.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a case there, dude, because growing up, I didn't have a whole lot of money, so what games I got was the games I got. And now it's like, okay, now I can get mostly any game I want, but now it's like, great, I don't have the damn time.
Yeah, it really sucks because there's so many games, and that factors into what games I play too, to a certain extent, because I just don't. There's certain games I'm looking at. I'm like, I know this is going to be a 60 to 100 hour endeavor. Like, so I just can't. I'm sorry, I can't play you game. Like, I just don't have the time for you, and it sucks because like I've tried to fix this, but I have a habit of just buying things that I want. I know I want to play, or I think I want to play, and I don't even play them. And so yeah, it just kind of sucks.
And you tell me I got a bad habit.
Yeah, well, in some ways, it's kind of fun to have that one like go-to game that's like your sort of Destiny 2 for you, where you can just always kind of just play that. But I'm not that type of person. There's just too many games that I like to play and that I want to experience that I can't just settle into one thing like that.
Yeah, that's the thing, man. I mean, it's good that you can do that, honestly. I mean, I congratulate you for it, because I mean, I'd like to be able to do that, but it's just, I guess it's because I've lived like the way I've been throughout my entire gaming history, all the way up from coin op. To be honest with you, back in the arcades, I played more freaking games, different games then than I even possibly could think of doing now. And that's where I think it's really different too, because, back then I can just go up to a machine, put a quarter in and play a different game and be like, okay, well, I don't like this one. And then I go over to this one and I put another quarter in that one and be like, yeah, man, fuck yeah, this game is really cool. Now, it's like you were saying before, it's not a matter of money, because, I can go and get whatever game, either be digital download or buy it physically. And it's just like, God, I want to try that, but I don't have the time. And now I'm set in this way of playing what I like, and I really don't want to deviate from it.
Yeah.
That's what you can say it is,
Yeah. And then we have things like Game Pass, where it's just like, here's a subscription and here's a bunch of games, and like, have fun deciding what you want to play.
Right. Yeah, we had fun on Sea of Thieves, though. That shit was great.
Yeah, but we wouldn't have bought it otherwise. I know we were all looking at it, but once it was announced on Game Pass, we're like, fuck this, cancel pre-order. But that's true though, because I've said before, the Netflix of gaming, Game Pass, gives you that paralysis, as you mentioned earlier, where it's just too many choices, too many options. Because I do that in Netflix too. What do you want to watch? I don't know. Let's watch another fucking episodic TV show about cocaine. Let's find out how to make more cocaine. Oh, this one's about fucking what's his face in Colombia. This is like this and that, and it's just, you end up watching shit you don't want to watch. Just like with the Game Pass, you might try some games that you didn't really want to play, but it's there for free, so why not give it a go?
Exactly. Yeah, that's definitely the draw. And hey, it's free. Fuck it. But it's the time invested. Is it going to be worth playing the game? I mean, Zeiser, you have, your thing of playing like a whole bunch of different games, and you probably would play an obscure game and be like, wow, this is really cool, where I'd probably look at it and go, nah, I can't really waste my time with that.
Yeah, it's hit or miss. I mean, I'm more open to try things because I tend to just like a bunch of different games.
Yeah.
And I just like having different experiences. So that's usually why I can't stick to one thing for too long.
I'm the exact same way. Like my gamer score is pretty high too. Not as high as yours, but I do like the new experiences. It's like reading a new book, right? Or watching another movie. I would love to find a game that I could just play for like years. Like not even MMOs have been able to really grab my attention. There's been a couple where I played maybe for 3 or 4 months, and Twisted Metal Black Online lasted about 4 or 5 years, and that's unprecedented. But there hasn't really been many games that really held my attention. And the ones that have always been multiplayer because it has that social aspect, right?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Well, me and you are video game sluts. That's what we've established today.
We are.
Now on to the what the fuck we're playing this week, and that game is The Division 2, the baddest fucking game on the planet right now. I'm having so much fun with this game. So I guess I'll throw it to Magnum first. What do you think about Division 2 so far?
Well, The Division 2 is definitely a fantastic game. It can definitely supplant my Destiny 2 addiction. I'm just going to have to swap one heroin needle for another. Easily. I definitely like how they did the system with the guns and the armor. The missions, they can be pretty freaking brutal, for one. Definitely the AI is very active, smart. We've gotten flanked and brutalized pretty bad sometimes.
Yeah, I mean that's my absolute favorite thing about this game so far. I was not expecting the upgrade to the way just the gameplay works and the AI and the different sort of classes and enemy types that do different things and flank you and have special abilities, and the way they throw grenades at you, and certain people rush you, and then once you get knocked out of cover, you might have a sniper sitting in the back and he takes shots at you, and you actually go down pretty quick. I mean, you're definitely not as spongy as you were in the first game. And so as someone who enjoys like really good AI, really fun combat like this, I'm like just ecstatic over the moon with the moment-to-moment gameplay of this game and the AI and the way they work. It's just so satisfying.
It's smart. It's smart how they design the enemies, basically, because they know that you're going to be behind cover most of the time, right? So they're going to make somebody that rushes you. They're going to make somebody who's like a heavy and can just literally walk up to you slowly but deal tons of damage. And they have the sniper, and they have other people just shooting at you. So they're getting you from different angles by having different enemy types do different things to force you to keep moving and shooting and taking people down.
Yeah, I've had the experience numerous times with either the guys that have the grenade launchers or they throw grenades. You're sitting there and you're in cover and you're popping off your rounds and everything like that, and you see that little red dot come at you. You're like, oh shit! And as soon as you see that, I've gotten out of cover and I've had one of the snipers literally hit me. I'm like, oh shit! And I go and roll, and the next thing I know, they're focused on me, and then bam, I'm down. So
yeah, I mean,
they're to get you out of cover.
Yeah, they're constantly trying to get you out of cover. But what I like about the cover system too is it's like if you do stick your head out too far from cover and trying to take shots on enemies and stuff like that, you will get knocked down pretty quick. It's not as bad as like playing like Gears of War on the hardest difficulty, which I found to be extremely bitchy and annoying. But yeah, you can't. They do force you in cover, which is it's kind of different from the first Division where you could kind of run around more out in the open. And you could absorb a lot of damage, and they had a lot of like more like insta heal abilities and stuff in that game. There's still healing abilities in this game, but you could run around, run and gun more in that game. This one kind of focuses you and makes you consider your positioning on the map in relation to where the enemies are, and sort of like you and your teammates flanking enemies or preventing them from flanking you. And so it's all about your positioning on the field and stuff. So it's way more tactical, the way the enemy AI interacts with you and your teammates and stuff like that. And it's really hard to play a solo sometimes. Like you really have to watch yourself, because if you don't have someone watching your back and you're focused in, like you're zoomed in on your scope trying to pick off some guy across the way, and then you have the enemies that rush you come upon you, and then they knock you out, knock you down, and it's over. So it's really hard to play solo. But I just love the sort of more tactical nature of what this game is now.
I kind of wish that you could destroy cover. Like, it doesn't have to get destroyed instantly, but you could chip away at it.
Yeah, and I kind of wish they had bullet penetration in certain things,
Yeah.
like certain like smaller like wooden things. I wish there were certain guns where you knew you could like shoot through the cover and stuff like that. I think that would be interesting also.
Yeah, I think for gunplay, those two things would take it to that next level for sure. But the game itself, I think, is a huge improvement over the first game, because I think they learned from all the DLC they put out, because they've included like underground stuff that they had in the other DLCs, and just the gameplay loop itself feels better. Like, there's a lot more to do. Like, there's something you can always do. You don't always have to go do a mission. You can go do a bounty, or you can go into the underground and get keys and find loot, or go and do like the conquest stuff, which I love. That's a brand new addition that I love in the game. Like the map conquest, where you take over like a landmark or like a base. And I think in the end game, there's going to be power struggles where you have that base, like the castle or whatever, and it can come under attack if it doesn't have like the right resources, so that there turns into this like territory takeover type gameplay. I'm not sure that's what happens, but that's what it looks like it's going toward.
Yeah, some of the I don't really understand how it happens. It doesn't seem to happen naturally as you're playing, but sometimes you'll log in and a control point you had has been like retaken over.
Yeah.
And I kind of wish they played that up a little bit more, because I do like that, because this game is borrowing a little bit from like Far Cry and stuff, where it has that sort of taking over bases aspect to it, and they have just a lot more sort of organic things happening in the world, especially compared to the first Division, where it was a lot more sort of static in a way, where you kind of knew where enemy groups would always be, and you kind of knew like, well, I'm just kind of running from mission to mission, or maybe a side mission. There wasn't a whole lot to do. This game has a lot more sort of just organic things that pop up. You have random enemies patrolling the streets, and then as you take over a territory, more of your teammates or whatever, the people on your side, the resistance or whatever it is in this game, you'll have them more out in the streets, and they're gathering supplies, and so you'll run into them, and sometimes you're in a gunfight and they just happen to be walking by, and they'll join up with you, and you take over a control point, you fire a flare up in the air and call in reinforcements. So it just feels like the game is just so much more alive now. There's just so much more going on, and the fact that they have random little events like the broadcasting thing, or there's a hostage situation over here, and so you might be on your way to a mission and you just stop off and do all these little things, but it always feels like you're doing something, and it never feels just like filler, just like your typical Ubisoft game filler stuff. I mean, even though those activities a lot of times are repeatable, and I've done them dozens of times at this point, they're always kind of fun because the combat's fun, so you're always like, well, I want to run over here real quick and let's just do this real quick, because it'll only take a few minutes, and you'll probably get some loot at the end of it.
The game's definitely a lot more dynamic, and I do hope that the conquest type gameplay plays more into the end game, because it feels like, I don't know if it's being unlocked because you're going through the story or it's level based, but like I think I'm almost level 20, but it just unlocked like convoys, like friendly convoys that just kind of walk down a set path to one of your bases to like resupply it, and that wasn't there like a level or two before. So it's like the game's kind of adding in this like level of persistence and autonomy to put these new like game things into play that I feel like are going to come more into play when you're at max level.
Yeah, I haven't seen the convoys yet. That's kind of crazy, but I will say I have peeked in online to see what the end game is like. And a little bit of a spoiler alert, it's kind of cool. There's like a whole new faction of enemies that comes into play at the end of the game. Oh. So all the missions are going to be remixed, and you're going to be fighting against this whole different faction of enemies that we haven't even seen yet.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
The end game is going to be like really interesting from what I've seen so far.
Yeah, that's another thing that I thought was really odd, because last night, and I even mentioned it when we played last night, those roving people that help you out or whatever, they were doing some damage to the enemies that were trying to attack us. When they joined up with us, they were actually killing people. And I've never seen that in other games before. I was like, wow.
Yeah, I can't tell if they're like more empowered in certain circumstances, because definitely at the beginning it just seemed like they were just a distraction to the enemy. But yeah, we were watching the friendly AI just like take down people last night, and I was like, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, I never seen that before. I thought that's really a great dynamic. That definitely wasn't in one. I think it helps you out because, man, there was 2 yellow bars when we were at the plane, and our AI was keeping them down, keeping them pinned. I mean, we were taking some fire ourselves, but they really changed that entire encounter, because if it was just the 4 of us, of course they'd be able to focus on the 4 of us instead of 8 people that we had.
Yeah,
it changes it.
But I think one of the best improvements to this game is the loot system. Oh my god! I mean, you're just getting so much loot in this game constantly, and they have a lot of returning guns from the first game, but they've added so many more, and you're getting loot at such a rapid pace, like just around every corner, that you can barely try out a weapon before you've found something better. So, Cynthia, what do you think about the loot in this game?
Well, they fixed it in the first game, because I remember when I got Division, I got it day 1, and I was playing with Brian and Joe, and the game changed over those months, because I know in the beginning the loot system was shit, and then when they patched in whatever patch it was, I forget, I think it was before the first DLC actually dropped, it changed the game completely. Like, it turned it from like a generic shooting game where you sometimes get weapons to upgrade to kind of like a Diablo or ARPG type system, where it's just things are just spilling out from bodies and stuff, and that's the way it should have been to begin with. So obviously it's great that it's already in this game to begin with, but that was something they introduced in the first one.
Yeah, I guess I should clarify that I played the first game first at launch, me and Magnum playing it. And so we experienced it right from ground zero, and the game was fun back then, but I never returned to it after like the first 3 months. So some of these changes that they've put into the game might have been in the first game. I just don't really remember. But even regardless of how the loot system works, to me it's just a matter of like how much loot they're giving you in this game. Like you always just feel like you're being rewarded for every single thing you do, whether it's exploring or taking a little side mission or taking over a control point, and you get that nice little ability to open up the sort of vault or loot room at the end of it. And then another cool little addition, I don't know if you guys knew this, I told Magnum about it last night we were playing, but the control points, you can actually revisit them every 24 hours and open up the loot chest again, everything aside from the big one. Mm-hmm. So you could just log in and just go around to all the control points you've taken and just grab loot if you wanted to do that. So it's just raining loot and guns in this game.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. But one thing I wanted to say, because I was going to forget it, is I think they upped the amount of like hidden chests and knapsacks and stuff like that are just hidden like in buildings. Like if you see a door, you can go into the building and there's going to be some lootable things in there. I don't remember the first game having this much. It was here and there.
There wasn't that much in the first game. They were around, but they weren't like, I mean, I can go anywhere and I'm running into a knapsack here, backpack here, small chest thingy here, suitcase there. Mm-hmm. It was not like that in the first game. No, they definitely upped that shit.
Yeah. And then there's like hidden, like off the beaten path, doors that you could shoot like the lock off of it, right? Like they didn't have that in the first game either.
No, they didn't have that. That's definitely cool.
And what's cool is that like they always reward you for like if you think like you might be in the middle of a mission and the waypoint or whatever is telling you to go through here, and you see, well, if I turn the corner up here, it looks like there's another little room off there, and almost 99 times out of 100, if you go in that room, you're going to find something. So they constantly reward you for just kind of going off the beaten path or exploring a little bit.
And you know what? They have hidden things in certain levels. So I'll give 2 examples. One. I went into a quarantine zone, and it was like in like a museum. So it had like prehistoric animals and stuff inside there, and it was dark. And I was just walking around, and I was turning the lights on the displays, so like it would light up the woolly mammoth or these wolves or whatever. And when I lit them all up, it made this like unlocking sound, and I was like, what the hell is that? And I noticed there was like a yellow key somewhere that just appeared. So I went and picked it up. And then I walked into a different room, and then I found like this woman who was tending to one of the sick people, talked to them, and they gave me another key. And I forget what I did for the third one, but I collected 3 keys in that quarantine zone, and that key unlocked a door that gave me like tons of loot behind it. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, it was weird. Shit. And then I was in another mission. I don't want to give spoilers, but there's a mission later on where you're in like a bank, and I'm going through the vault, and then there's a room that's locked and you need a passcode. And I'm like, where the fuck is the passcode? So I looked it up just to see, and you had to kind of find this thing that was kind of out of the way. It wasn't on like the primary path you're supposed to be on. You had to pry open a wall panel, and then you would push a button, and that button would unlock this like desk thing, and inside the desk was the passcode to open that. And I couldn't go back because I was already beyond like the point of no return, basically, where it like locks the door behind me. But basically, if you go into that mission, you can secretly go get this passcode to unlock this room that has like a ton of loot in it. So I like these are 2 examples. So how many other levels that I went through that I didn't even see stuff that you can click on or activate that would open up a different room that was locked?
Yeah, that's crazy. The only thing I've seen like that is when me and Magnum took over this control point. It's like in a bombed out sort of metro station. And
I did that one.
At the back of one of the trains, there's like a button that says "click this" or something like that, and I pressed it, but I didn't know what it did. I could never figure it out.
Oh, it probably did something, or maybe there's like a couple you got to press. But I feel like they've hidden stuff. I feel like they've hidden those little like puzzle things in there to give you even more loot. Like maybe the loot that you get from that has a higher chance of giving you like purples and yellows and stuff, right?
Yeah, maybe.
It should.
Yeah, see, I didn't know there was even this level of sort of depth to the exploration, because I explore, but I haven't come across too much like that. That's insane.
Yeah, neither have I. I know that they got the faction chests. You have to have specific keys from specific factions to unlock specific chests within certain parts of the world. I seen that last night too. Was that anything like? That doesn't sound like anything that you experienced.
No, that's completely different. So if you want keys for that, you have to go in the underground, and it's like on the wall behind like it looks like an electrical panel. If you open it, you can collect a key in some underground things.
Remember that one I showed you, Magnum, last night? We all went in that room and found that key. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So see, there you go. Like they've added so much into this game, and me being the type of person who loves to explore, like I've come across this and I'm like, what is this? Like, why would you need to click this? And then all of a sudden, like I'm opening up a new room because I was just turning lights on in a museum. It's just, it's a neat addition.
I mean, I think it's abundantly clear that Ubisoft figured out how to master the open world genre. And I mean, this game is no exception. It's just as good as you think. I mean, the crazy thing about this game is I was looking forward to Division. I wasn't like super jazzed about it. I was just like, yeah, I'll pick it up because the first one was fun. I like the gameplay, and I know some of my friends will get it. But I've just been blown away by how much better it is than I thought it was going to be, and how much better it was from the last time I dipped into the Division. So the other crazy thing, though, that I love about Ubisoft games and talking about their ability to make these incredible open world games is the environmental storytelling, and then just the environmental artwork and everything that went into making this game. Just walking down every street just seems like a completely unique experience. Like the way they've just put like burned out cars over here, or there's a stack of furniture in the middle of the road, or maybe there's a pile of trash bags over here, or a deer runs by, and I don't know, it just every street corner, every building, every square inch of this game world just feels like it was just handcrafted. And I just, Ubisoft is just becoming really amazing at doing this with every game they put out now. And this game, even though I loved the first Division in New York and everything, and I thought it looked really cool, and it had those similar aspects, but this is just so much more colorful, so much more vibrant, and just, I mean, it's just a sight to behold, walking up and down these streets, exploring these tunnels and stuff like that, because everything you see, even the individual missions themselves, where you go through like the Air and Space Museum and you're fighting in the planetarium, and maybe you're in some the Natural Museum of History or American History or whatever, and you're going through, and there's like a Vietnam sort of area, and you're having a gunfight in here, and it's just everything is so just visually appealing, and then it just changes constantly, and you never know like where you're going to be or what's going to be happening around you.
I was actually going to bring that up about the level design, because in the first division it was like, oh, you go into a building and you go upstairs, you hide behind like a bar or a table or whatever. But in this game, like you said, you're going into museums, you're going into like you're basically on like a mock Mars fighting, and there's like astronaut suits around and stuff like that, and you go to a different place and it's like a different type of museum, or it's more interesting. The level design is a lot more interesting, and there's a lot more to see. And like you said, like the Vietnam thing, I thought that was funny because it's like, oh, you're having a war, now you're like in the Vietnam section of the museum, and there's like a helicopter there playing the helicopter sound. You jump on the minigun and you're shooting people in this fake Vietnam setup, so like it's leagues above what the first game had, for sure.
Yeah, I also like to tip my hat to them being geographically accurate with a lot of the things that's in Washington, D.C. As you know, I live in the state of Maryland, and I visited D.C. quite a few times, and they're pretty spot on with how it looks.
Yeah, I went to D.C. on a field trip in 5th grade. So I've been to the like Air and Space Museum and stuff like that, and I still kind of vaguely remember the way it was laid out and everything, so it's kind of cool because it's like it's been the first time for me, I think, that I've actually been to a video game world that's trying to replicate the real world, and I can actually sort of identify with it a little bit.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting to see a lot of the places that I have visited, like the Air and Space Museum of Natural History, taking tours between the Washington Monument and stuff like that, and also the sports the Caps Center in there. Even though they don't call it that, it's really. That's why I said when I first got there, I was like, I got to get to 7th and F. I got to get to 7th and F. And sure as shit, I'm just like, you got to be kidding me. It's really neat. It's the same thing in 1 too, because looking at New York City and remembering being there too is really cool.
So I have 2 things that I don't really like about the game, and one of them is the inability to trade items in like the truest sense. So yes, you can trade items if you're in a group and you both did the same instance or whatever. You have an hour to trade whatever those drops are to each other, but you can't trade outside of that. Like I can't find something solo and then know that like Magnum needs this for his build if that's what he's going to do, and I can give it to him. And I miss that because I really do like trading and that sort of thing. The craft system is cool, so maybe that kind of like counterbalances it, where you can kind of craft until you get what you wanted. But it sucks that you can't trade stuff. I know it doesn't matter right now, but at the end game, maybe it will when we're trying to get specific things.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering, if the end game is going to be where that comes into play. Because for me, it doesn't really matter. I'm just happy it's in there because me and Magnum come from Destiny, where you can't trade shit. So it's nice to just have the ability to be able to do that. But I feel like also, just given the nature of how this game is, with having like these real world guns, and there's not really much that's like super specific in the way that Destiny has things, where you get like an exotic gun. I know there's exotic guns in this game, and like you said, maybe late game that stuff is really going to factor in when you're looking for a very specific armor piece to complete a set or something like that. But I don't know, if your friends are playing and they pick it up, I don't know. It's not something that really bothers me. What do you think about it, Magnum?
Well, you see, that's the thing about it. Being able to share your loot with the other players, with the point that Cyntha made about wanting to, like, say, you're in your solo game and you can't share with me, like, drop it. I think there's something about the clan. Yeah, but as far as, like, the loot goes and stuff like that, like with the real world guns and stuff, the perks that come with a lot of the weapons, especially the exotic ones, they have like real world perks. Like, say, if you like the submachine gun I got last night, which is UI-99, I think it was, is you get like a certain amount of body shots, the percentage of your accuracy goes up and whatever, and then when you have a certain percentage and you get a headshot, it does additional damage. Now, I mean, that's like a real world kind of perk instead of like, say in Destiny, if you have this certain thing, you're going to be able to like wipe out an entire freaking thing and this and that. That's fantasy stuff. This, as far as the loot is concerned, especially with your armor, as you know, in Destiny, your armor is pretty much everything. You know, you level it up and stuff like that. But with Division, the difference is that you're focusing your armor as to whether you want more of the electronics part of it, more of your armor part of it, or whether you want to do more damage. Isn't that right?
Yeah, well, that's how it worked in the first game, but I don't know that stuff might come into play more toward the end game. We just don't know yet because we're not there.
Because I'm looking at because I remember last night I was looking at my turrets and I was looking at my my health thing that I was throwing out. And the other things that I was saying, and you have to be a certain, it was the battery icon saying you have to be a certain level of this in order to make this mod work.
Oh yeah. Because that's what came into play late game in the first division. So yeah, that stuff is not super relevant yet to where we are, but yeah, I know what you're talking about now. I remember that.
Yeah, so I guess, you know, once you get to that point, you're going to be able to go for a build to say, okay, I'm going to go super on the electronics part of it. And so when I do my turret and I do my health thing, everybody's going to be Superman with my health and my turret's going to knock down yellow bars. Or like say with your armor, you're going to be tanky, you know, or you're going to maximize weapons. I think it's a lot more, obviously it's a little bit more in depth with Destiny, because in Destiny your roles are what your roles are with whatever you get, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, some people like class based games a little bit more, but I kind of and I think, like I said, late game, and this game will kind of turn into that, where your team composition, you'll want to have a healer, you want to have a damage doer, a tanky person like that. I think that'll come into play more, but I do like how you can just mix and match your skills throughout this game and just kind of play how you want. That's what I like about it.
Yeah, it's definitely right now we're cobbling together everything and learning how to play it, but I'm pretty sure my one buddy that I played with that unlocked that magazine blueprint from a secret mission, he told me that there was a guy that he followed on YouTube. He made a build with like submachine gun damage and stuff like that and went to Dark Zone and was just wrecking people. So if you can go with specific builds, obviously, you know, you're going to be pretty badass.
So I want to talk about the fucking monster closets in this game and how many times I've come out of like the sewer and been murdered instantly, or like chasing somebody down, and I'm standing beside a door that literally 10 guys come flooding out of and just fucking destroy me.
Yeah, Magnum remembers me bitching about that the other night. I hate when you're like taking a fight, taking a control point, and you've got a great position and you're doing great in the fight, and then the game just decides that the enemies need to spawn out of the fucking doorway behind you, and you're like, and then you get fucked and you get steamrolled, and you're like, I had no way to know that they were going to come from there.
Oh like shit! Wait, they're behind us! They're behind us! Shit.
Yeah, and even with the like really in depth, cool like radar that lets you track enemies, that you can never know if they're just going to spawn behind you. They have these like preset moments where the enemies are going to come from this door like every time, and if you don't know that your first time moving through a mission area or something like that, you can just totally get wrecked.
Yeah, you definitely get wrecked. That's the other aspect, man. It's like when you're in your scope and you're sniping somebody, the next thing you know you're getting hit, you're going, what the hell? And you turn around and the next thing you know you're down. Like shit.
Like, I guess it's kind of true to like what life would kind of be like. You don't know where people are going to come out of, right? I've had other situations where I'm looking ahead and I'm fighting everybody in front of me, and then all of a sudden I have a group and a half patrolling down the street that I didn't even notice, and now they're shoving their guns up my ass, and I'm being flanked on both sides, and then I'm dead.
Yeah, that's kind of oh yeah, that's kind of the fun, like sort of good and bad part of the dynamic open world is like. So now a lot of times, if we're about to take a control point, we're about to establish a position, we'll kind of look both ways down the street to see if there's a gang coming and when we need to look out for them. Because you can totally be holding down a place, and there'll be some roaming gang of people that come out from behind you and just completely fuck your life up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, like, I know for a fact, because it's like we'll be running, like one of those times you were talking about how I run ahead and I'm doing this wandering dumb stuff, and it's like I hear you guys shooting, so I'm running towards you, and the worst part is that you're like a block ahead fighting these people, and now I'm running towards you, and I can see red behind me because now they're alerted because they heard you guys firing off, and then it's like, hey guys, I brought friends.
I've ran through places and enemies have chased me for like 6 blocks. Like one of the shotgun guys, he'll just keep shooting at me while I'm running down the street, and I'm like, can you just fuck off? Like, I'm not interested right now.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? I have to turn around and actually kill him.
Especially the classes that are like meant to chase at you or run at you. Yeah, they'll just stalk you forever until you kill them. Yeah, but I like how even though the enemies are bullet spongy. And I'm sure it'll get even harder toward the end when you get to the end game. But I like how it just doesn't feel that bad, though. And
right.
Even the sort of yellow bar enemies, like they have like weak points on them that you can shoot and stuff like that now. So it's beneficial to like flank them, get position, shoot the little explosive pack on them. Or I like how it's all about taking off their armor pieces a lot of times too. Like if you just start doing straight headshots on a guy, you can pop his helmet off, and then that sort of negates the whole bullet spongy aspect, because then you can just pump rounds into his head and take him down. So it just doesn't have this like really I don't know, bad bullet sponginess like the first game had, and a lot of these games can have like, you know, like Destiny can feel that way a lot of times.
Destiny
and stuff like that.
gets that way.
Yeah, I just think so far, just moving through the main campaign of the game, I'm not really bothered by that in the ways that I might be in other games.
Yeah, they definitely put a good balance between, you know, the yellow bars having, you know, obviously more health than the purples and so on and so forth. I mean, even the purple guys sometimes are hard to hit and take out because their armor's pretty beast too. It's good.
Well, my only other gripe with the game so far, and I wasn't feeling it as much last night when we were playing with Evan, but yeah, the way just, you know, when someone's like a higher level than you and you jump into their game, they kind of boost up the lower level player, but it seems like they still have a hard time of it, and I'm not sure what's kind of going on there behind the scenes, because you really get punished if you're like 5-10 levels away from the person you're playing with, and the game always scales to the highest level player, and I just don't think they've quite tweaked that to get the right balance yet. I don't know, because like I said, playing with Magnum the first night, he was going down so much more in those games, but Evan was kind of holding his own last night. I mean, they have been like tweaking things on the back end. Like, I haven't been keeping up with the sort of day-to-day updates they've been doing to this game, so they might have tweaked that, but I just found that to be a big problem in the first week.
Well, two things about that. First and foremost, when I was going down a lot, when I was playing with you guys and the game scaled, I think I was like level 1, 2, and 3 for the most part, while you guys were like 16, 17. So, I mean, the first and foremost is, of course, my dumb ass is like, yeah, I'm tanky. No, I'm not. I'm down. And then the second part of it is that I think that even if they did, like, say, I'm level 1, for God's sake. What business do I have being in a fight with level 17? And to be honest with you, that leveled me up so freaking much hanging out with you guys, because I went from 1 to 3 in like almost no time at all. I was getting really good drops, even though they were greens. And then I got an occasional blue here and there. So I think it's beneficial, and the game does punish you for it, but it's a rewarding kind of punishment. It's not like, you know, you're getting freaking slaughtered left and right. If you play smart, not like me, you're able to progress. Like you were saying, Evan last night wasn't getting his ass beat as much, and he really wasn't. And it's probably just because he was being a lot more cautious than I ever was. You know, so.
Yeah, but also I think the other sort of problem I have with that is, like, if I'm joining your game, it shouldn't automatically boost every mission and everything up to my level either. Like, you should have a little bit more leeway there. Like, sure, if you join my game, you should be playing on the hard stuff that I'm doing, but if I join your game, it should strike some kind of a better balance there. Like, I don't know why it just boosts everything up so much more, because sometimes it's easier to just do the stuff at a lower level. It's not like you're gaming the system here. I mean, the enemies are still pretty tough, and they're still going to present a challenge either way. So I don't know. I think that's really just a system they kind of need to tweak a little bit.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, but if you stop to think about it, when I went back and I was helping people in Destiny when they were real low levels, getting through their story missions and stuff like that, I'd be able to pretty much slay everything and just skate them through. I think that's probably something that Ubisoft looked at and said, I don't think we want to do that. And if that's the case, I don't know, but if that's the case, I think that's probably the better idea, because look, I mean, like I said, what business do I have being a level 1 or 2, being in somebody's level 17 game, and then some level 17 comes in and burns through the story missions with me and gets the game over real quick. I mean, I think the balance that they made for something like that was I guess smart, because why burn through the game?
Yeah, I don't know.
Burn through the game.
I think it would make more sense if higher levels were brought down to the lower levels, not the reverse like it is.
That'd be
or just meet somewhere in the middle though. Like if someone's a level 8 and someone's a level 18, then they should be, around like 14 or so, I think. You know what I mean?
Or maybe make it based on what the area's level.
Yeah, well, you have
the area level
districts. Yeah, well, you have the different districts and their recommended level this through this. Mm-hmm. But it seems like that doesn't really matter as much as it did in the first game, where it seems like everything just scales to your level now.
I think some things do when you load back in. I think if you played for like 3 hours and you did everything in that area, everything would be whatever level it was when you first loaded in. But if you restart the game, come back, it'll scale everybody up. I think I've noticed that.
Maybe that's how it works. I'm not sure.
I wasn't paying attention to that, to be honest. But that's something to look at.
But I just want to say, though, too, up front, we've probably praised this game quite a bit in this segment, but it's worth pointing out that, as per usual with Ubisoft games, this game came out without any kind of hiccups or the typical games as a service launch day bullshit. The shit that you got with like fucking Anthem and stuff like that. Like, this game was ready for prime time when it came out. I mean, occasionally you'll get dropped from a game. That just happens with any game. And there was a couple little bugs, like the first couple days, I think, if you were playing a co-op session, you would throw out your turrets, they would just disappear after a few seconds. But by the next time I logged in, that was completely fixed. So, I mean, bravo to Ubisoft, and this is why I pre-order their games, because I always feel comfortable doing so, because they always deliver.
Yeah, that was definitely my bugaboo, I guess you could call it, for about not getting it right away too. Is I wanted to see if there was any kind of dumb shit popping off of day one.
I'm going to say, though, that Ubisoft doesn't start from scratch with their games. They always have like the IPs already like built up. They already have like the buildings already rendered and stuff like that. So they're just kind of changing the textures of some things so they can work on those like extra puzzles I was talking about earlier, or adding in those little like flares, because they don't have to worry about building it from the ground up again. They already have a base to work from. Okay, let's do a quick Q&A this week. If you have any questions you want to ask us, have an interesting topic that you want to pitch, or want to be part of the show, just send us an email at bastardsgamingnetwork@gmail.com, or message us on the Bastards of Gaming Facebook group. So this week's question is, Flip Flop Fucker asks, do you guys think...
Whoa. I got a question for you guys. Okay, this is serious. All right. Do any of you guys would like to be able to have sardines and horseradish on Triscuits?
Oh, God. Here the fuck we go. Some of this bullshit again. Oh, my God.
It's no bullshit.
That's gross. That's disgusting.
I mean, I love Triscuits. Triscuits are one of my favorite snack crackers. I do all kinds of things with Triscuits. I put all kind of shit on some Triscuits. But fucking sardines? Like, who fucking eats sardines?
Man, you get yourself some freaking sardines in oil, right? And then you get yourself some horseradish. You get your Triscuit, whichever flavor it might be, like cracked black pepper, or you might get yourself some garlic, or you might get some basil, Triscuits. Put that sardine on there, And then you put that horseradish on there, and you just nom nom nom.
I mean, sardines are up there with like anchovies to me. It's like, why do they fucking exist? And who's eating this fucking bullshit?
Don't eat anchovies. Can't eat anchovies. That's totally
Why not?
separate. It's not even the same thing.
To me, it's the same thing.
It's not the same thing.
It's in the same wheelhouse.
It's in the same wheelhouse.
But getting back to sardines, like why the fuck do you eat those? Like why? I mean, there's plenty of more savory meats and shit you could put on a fucking Triscuit. Like get some little fucking pepperonis or some slices of ham or turkey. Get like some tuna? Fucking cheese.
Do you like tuna?
Yeah,
tuna's fine.
Yeah, tuna's good.
Tuna. I think tuna is within the same realm of sardines.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
No.
So, I mean, how did you even arrive at this?
Well, you see, the crazy part about it is that, you know, I can eat sardines plain, but they just don't, I don't know. I mean, it's strange. I don't think that they taste right, I guess. So I decided to add a little bit of flavor, and I do the horseradish, and it's just pow. It's snappy.
But again, this sounds like fucking Cynthia with his goddamn peanut butter and onion sandwiches. It just seems like it just seems like you're
come on.
You're in your house and you're hungry and you're like, what do I have? And you just slap some shit together. Like this doesn't even make sense how you arrived at fucking Triscuits, sardines, and horseradish. And by the way,
on the sardines.
And by the way, like horseradish is like just the most pointless shit ever. Like, why does it even exist? Like, it doesn't really add anything to anything. It's one of the most like pointless sort of condiment type things, like on hot dogs or whatever people put that shit on. I just don't get it. Like, why does it exist?
It exists because, man, it's spicy. Actually spicy. I don't know if spicy is the right word for it. Have you ever had like a really good horseradish? Man, it makes your freaking eyes water. It just makes your face swell. It's just like hot sauce. Having a thing of hot sauce.
I don't know. So, I mean, like I said, you're already fucking it up with the sardines, and then you're adding horseradish. It's like the most weird. It's like the weirdest combination of flavors that I can't understand it.
You know what?
It's great, dude.
I'm not gonna run you down for it. I don't like it. I don't like sardines. I like horseradish. I like Triscuits. I just don't like seafood stuff. If you like it, you like it. You know, I've already been beaten down and berated for my picks, so I know what it feels like to basically be lynched. So fuck it. If that's what you like to eat, fuck it. If you like your corned beef and hash out of a can like that one time, hey, fuck it.
God, no, you see, that was an experiment. I just wanted to try it. Oh my God. That was terrible, bro.
I remember you opened it and you and you cooked it up or whatever and you threw it on a plate. I remember you just like eating and bitching about the whole time, and I think you just like dropped your fork at one point. You're like, fuck this, I'm not eating it.
I couldn't, man. I swear to God, I might as well have just opened up a freaking salt shaker and dumped it in my mouth. There was that much salt in the son of a bitch. It was terrible, man. Oh my God. But yeah, I love it, man. I even got some Triscuits right now. Thinking about getting a snack. Thanks for reminding me.
You got some sardines?
Yes, I do. King Oscar.
Oh, you even have a brand that you like?
Yes, King Oscar sardines, Mediterranean style.
We're gonna have to make like a fucking cookbook here.
Yeah, I even get the ones in hot sauce or mustard.
The Bastards of Gaming fucking cookbook. Complete shit. You have fucking random shit in your fucking refrigerator? We've got a recipe for you.
Stuff you never eat, even in survival mode.
Yeah, this is like wartime recipe book. It's like whatever you found.
Whatever you find in the cook.
Yeah, this is shit you eat in the division. Fucking peanut butter and onion sandwiches and fucking, hey man, I opened up a backpack, found some Triscuits and sardines and some horseradish. Let's eat this shit.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
Make your mirth. Make your mirth.